Hello everyone, and welcome back to another video on my channel. In this video we're going to look at all the ready to run class 42 and 43 warships that have been available over the years. We're going to look at 7 different manufacturers and 8 different versions of the class 42 and 1 class 43 at the end. So for those who don't know, the 7 manufacturers are: we've got a Marklin one, a Trix one, we're going in date order here. There's a Fleischmann one, the Lima ones, got 2 Lima ones here, and then Hornby, got 2 Hornby ones, Mainline, got 3 Mainline versions, including one with sound, which is that one there. We'll go through that in a bit. And then finally Bachmann. So we've got 2 early versions of the Bachmann warship, class 42, and then we've got the final class 42 they did, and then I'm going to look at the 43. Now this one's been repainted and weathered, but I have got a mint emboxed one which we'll look at later. So to kick off then, in date order, we're going to look at the Trix one first, and then we're going to move on to the Marklin one. I should say that this video is probably going to be in 2 parts due to the amount of stock we're going to look at here. So in part 1 we're just going to get the models out, have a look at them, compare them, and then in part 2 I'm going to get most of them running around the layout here. Right, so let's kick off with the Trix model. Right, so to start off, I believe this is the oldest model of the lot. This is a Trix model of a class 42 warship, number D801 Vanguard. I'll say I believe it's the oldest one, as I couldn't find a set date for them, but I believe they're from the 60s, mid 60s, early 60s. These were available as 2 or 3 rail. You could also buy a kit and build one yourself. So you've got the body, the roof, the bogies, the frame, and then a motor and a lighting kit. Not sure whether this one was a kit version, because the only kit ones I've seen were blue and this one's green, but someone has obviously had a go at painting the ends. We've got a full yellow end here, and the other end, I'm guessing it was a full yellow end, and they've decided to paint over it with green, because that green does not match the rest of the logo. Also they've had a go at painting the frames and the bogies black. So yeah, not much to say about this one. I don't really know much about the model. It's hard to find information on this one, but they were out when Hornby were doing their 00 range in 2 and 3 rail. It's got the same couplings as well. Look. So, but this is the 2 rail version. So in part 2 you'll see it running around. There's not much point comparing this to the other ones, because it's yeah, it's very basic, this one. It does have some detail on the roof though. Obviously these are the vents that used to open and shut. There's no lifting eye detail. You've got the fan grills there, which aren't really accurate. Yes, so but this is the only one I've got that's got discs on, with the very early, the very early headcode version. So yes, I don't know why none of the other manufacturers have made an early version of the warship yet with the discs, but maybe they will. Right, so we'll move on to the next one now. Next up is the Marklin model of a class 42 warship. This one is named Majestic D830, and I think you agree with me, it's the ugliest one of the lot and looks the least like a warship. This model was I've got a date of 1967 it was produced. I don't know how long they were produced for. I do know that they were 2-rail and 3-rail versions. This one is a 2-rail version, and on the box it was marketed as Marklin Hamo as a 2-rail version. Let's have a look at the box. Most of it is in German, as you expect. Marklin, HO. I'm not going to go through all that. So let's have a look at the detail on it. As you can see, it's got a small yellow end, square buffers for some reason. It does light up. I have tested it, but the flanges are so big they rub on the rail chairs. So when I do get it running in part 2, you'll hear it. It'll sound like it's derailed, but it hasn't. It's just rubbing on the chairs. Bit of roof detailing there. Not 100% accurate, but it's got lifting eyes, picked out vents, fans, and the exhaust ports. There's not really much I can say about it. I don't really know much. I mean, that looks very nice. But yeah, if you want to know more about Marklin, I'll let you Google that yourself. It's not my thing. I don't really know much about it, so I'm not going to pretend I know about it and start waffling on. So I think I'll quickly move on to the next model, which would be the Fleischmann one. So here's the Fleischmann model of a class 42 Greyhound, which is preserved, if you know your warships, D821. Now this one was manufactured, they started making these back in 1977, and as far as I'm aware they were still in the catalogue up to 2004. So I'm not really sure if this is an early one or a later one or what, but they all seem to be the same when you look at them online. If you Google them, they all appear to be looking like this, so we can assume that yeah, this is a 77 model, and it's very highly detailed for something that old. The only downside is it is very small, being a HO scale. That's the motor end. In the other end, you can see it's got a driver and second man. You can see the lamp irons fitted. Back on the roof, you see the lifting eyes, vents, exhaust ports, fans. Yeah, for something that old, I think it's brilliant. It's just a shame that they made them in HO scale. So Fleischmann market these on the UK market, trying to break into the UK market. They also made 3 bullet coaches, and it is rumoured that they were going to make a Light Pacific, a West Country class, or a Battle of Britain class, but due to the lack of sales, they scrapped that idea. Here's the box it came with. Now these instructions, there's English. We were going to make a blue one as well, says there. Well, we have made a blue one. We've got German. I'm not sure what the other language is. I think it's French. No, it is French. And these came with headboards as well. So we've got the Mayflower. What's the other one? Torbay Express and the Cornish Riviera Express. So yeah, for something that old, it's a really nice model. I'll just get another one so you can see. Get a Bachmann one. So we wait for it to spin round. So you've got the Bachmann 00 model and the Fleischmann one. Detail wise, I'd say they're about the same level of detail. It's just a shame that the scaling is all out. Such a shame. And if we get the, I'll go back and get the Marklin one. Now these were only 3, was it 3 years apart? No, 10 years apart these were. See how much better the Fleischmann one is compared to the Marklin model in looks wise. Yeah, really nice model from Fleischmann there. It's just a shame it never caught on. The next one, age-wise, I believe is Lima. So we're going to look at the Lima models next. So here we have the Lima models. Got 2 examples here. The first one, 843, dates back from 1980. And the second one with a small yellow panel, number 819, dates from 1994. Now Lima made these all the way up to the late 90s, I believe. 1999 was the last time they were available. Interestingly, 843 is a class 43, not a 42 by the number on it. However, if you look at it, the body moulding is exactly the same as a 42. Now these are fairly basic models at the time, all moulded plastic, a few bits of detail picked out with chrome paint, like the handrails there, and the handrails by the door. We got the lifting eyes picked out. The fans, obviously on the class 43, these would have been different for the exhaust ports, because the 43s had different engines in. Those that don't know, 42 had German Maybach engines and the 43 had UK MAN engines. They also had different transmissions, but we won't go into that today. We're just here to look at the models today. As you can see, the older one hasn't got handrails on the front there, where the Lima redid the moulding. I suspect they did. I can't imagine it would have lasted all that time into the 90s from the 80s. Let me get the box a second. We've got standard Lima boxes. I don't think any of my Lima models have come with user manuals, so I know these certainly didn't. One of them, which one is it? 819 Goliath, is actually a limited edition model, but when I bought this on second hand, it was missing its certificate. So if you're a collector and you're on the hunt for limited editions, Goliath, Lima, that was one. So the next one in date order, which is only just a little bit younger, is the Mainline models. So here we have 3 versions of the Mainline class 42. There were 4 available. There was another green one, which I don't have. I only bought one of these originally to do this video as a non-runner, and then I discovered the blue one as sound. They did a sound version, but we'll go into that in a second. And then I bought another one, High Flyer, as a runner, just to do the do a running video. So these were available in the early 80s for about 4 or 5 years, and then Bachmann sort of got hold of the mainline range. So yeah, there should be a lot I can't even say the word, similarities, no, couldn't even do it then, between this and the Bachmann version. So there's a very nice level of detail now. You can see the rivet marks on the roof. We've got separately applied handrails now. We've got driver and second man in the cabs. Now these did have a known fault for them over the years. If you do fancy getting a second-hand one, be aware that the gears split. And the non-runner I had a split gear, and I've got a replacement for it, and it split that as well. So be very wary of getting a second-hand mainline model, as the gears do split fairly easily. Now onto the sound one. Now I've spoken to a few people and they didn't even know this existed. It came with a little ramp for you to put into your track, and if I pick the model up, on the bottom of it, it's got a little button, and as it goes over that ramp, it sounds the horn. Obviously when you start up straight away with your controller, it makes like a buzzing noise. Not very realistic, but there's a catalogue from '81, and inside there it advertises the sound version of it. And my little lad, he loves that. It makes a noise and it goes bub bub as it goes round. There's a manual there, and on the back there, so yeah, it's a shame really, because they do look really nice, but unfortunately to get one that runs really well without the gear splitting is very problematic. They are available on eBay as a 3D printed item, but like I said, I bought spare, and that split that as well. A bit disappointing. So the next one is the Hornby one. So we'll move on to the Hornby models now. So now we're on to the Hornby range. Now these were advertised as a railroad version. The green one, 802 Formidable, that came out in 2011, and the slightly pinkish maroon one, 853 Thruster, came out in 2014. Now, just like earlier, 853 should actually be a class 43 warship, not a 42. Now these are surprisingly very good runners, and they fetch a fair bit of money on the eBay. I've seen them go for about 80 quid, which seems a very lot for a railroad model, but they are very good runners, and we'll see that in part 2. They are also DCC ready. They have NEM pockets. Yeah. Now if I go and get the Lima one and pop it next to this green one here, you'll notice that the moulding is identical. So what Hornby have done again is got the old Lima tooling out, put a railroad badge on it, and sold it for a bit less. It's got the new Hornby motors in, and they do run really, really well. No sprung buffers, just like the Lima one. Yeah, it seems a bit strange. The maroon on the is a bit very pinkish on this one. It's not the camera, it is actually very pink. The green's pretty good. The all over green, 802. So if you want one, I'd say get that one. Now there's no lights in them, so you have to get your stickers out. Didn't come with stickers. I don't know if they should do for your head codes. The cabs are just a big lump of moulded grey plastic. But if you're not fussed about high detail and you just want a really good runner, then I'd recommend you get hold of a Hornby one. There's the box. There it is, class 42, look. Even though it is a 43. Very basic model. Unclips. Motor and the DCC socket. Yeah. But sometimes that's what you want nowadays. It's something nice and basic. Keep the costs down. Yeah. So the final ones are the Bachmann models. We're not going to look at all of them. I've got several Bachmann ones. We're just going to look at an old Bachmann one, an up-to-date Bachmann 42, and then finally the Bachmann 43. Thought I'd quickly compare the Mainline and the old Bachmann warships. The moulding is exactly the same. When did Bachmann first bring out? Onslaught was 98, so the moulding was sat around for over 10 years, but I'm pretty sure, get rid of that bit of fluff, that they are identical. Even the roofs, mouldings on the roofs. The only thing that's different that I've seen is the glazing on the Bachmann one. In the engine room area, it's flush glazing. We've got the same sort of crew sat in there. The couplings are the same. Sorry, not the couplings. The buffer. Oh, that's slightly different on that one. At the other end. Alright, so there's some slight differences in the buffer beam detail, but the body moulding, I'm pretty sure this is the same. So the chassis might be different. Let me switch this off. Yeah, so the bottom is the Mainline, on the top is the Bachmann one. The chassis are different, but the body moulding is the same. Probably to do with the way the motors are. I must say that also in the early Bachmann ones, they've had issues where there's a little clip that holds the bogies in place and they break off. But thanks to 3D printing, they're available again. I have swapped out them in this model. So yeah, I thought that would be interesting to look at, the difference between the Mainline and the Bachmann one. So the body mouldings are the same, I believe, but the chassis are different. Come on, focus in. Nope. Come on. There we are. Right then, on to the next bit. So this is the latest Bachmann Class 42, different to the Class 43. This is the last one I think they've done, back in 2011. Model number 32052A, named Hermes 823. So yeah, I mean, this one is the DCC ready, 21 pin, all lights up, still got a driver and a second man in the cab. Oh, let me switch it off if I can. There we are. So you can see the second man. The head codes light up, the cab lights up. Some details on the roof. It's all moulded. Lifting eyes and that are moulded on. Come on, focus. I do apologise for my poor camera work there. There we are. The roof detail. I've done it again, look. I think it's the mirror that's upsetting it. You've got steps underneath the cab. I mean, it does come with a bag of bits. There they are. Buffer beam details mainly in there. Handrails on the front, separate front light. Oh, there's one missing. You can tell this one's a second-hand purchase. But it's all crisp and clear. It's not fuzzy. We'll see in part 2 when it runs. This one is DCC fitted. But what I want to do is get the brand new, I'll say brand new, the newer class 43 model, and we'll compare the details to that. So you can see already the roof detail is different. I know the exhaust port's different because of different engines, but the vents are separately applied details. The lifting eyes separately applied again. The fan housing is much better. And so these models are actually 5 years apart, date wise. So yeah, wipers separately, whereas the other one are molded onto the clear plastic. Handrails again separate. Lamp irons are separate, whereas these are molded on. Sprung buffers on each. Oh no, funny enough, the new one hasn't got sprung buffers. That's a bit odd. I know the 43s and the 42s are slightly different, so we won't pick at differences like that. We're just going to look at the level of detail on the 43, which is, in my opinion, a lot better. Even though it's from Bachmann, 5 years difference between them. So the cab on the 43, the seats are picked out. I can't see the instrument panel. No, that's not picked out so much, but the you've still got drivers in the 42 and you haven't got anything in the 43, which is a shame. Bachmann has stopped doing that now. So yeah, we'll take a quick look at the 43 by itself and then we'll conclude this video. So this is it. This is the last one of the set. This is Bachmann's class 43, named Sprightly. This is was produced for kind of model railways as a limited edition model. There's your certificate there. A set of nameplates there. If you want to pause the video so you can read that. But basically, this livery, it wasn't very long. It was experimental with the yellow panel around the head code there, and the white peaks to the cab roofs. Soon after, the yellow panel was I don't know if it was full yellow ends or just a larger yellow panel. So yeah, so even though this is the newest offering, it was made 2016, end of 2016, 2017. So yeah, we've been, what would that be, 8 years 6 years, 6 years, 6 years without any new warships. So yes, I know it's another green one. I seem to have collected lots of green ones, but it does help to compare them all. So what we'll do is we'll get them all out in a row, and then I know the Bachmann one will be far superior to, say, the Trix and Marklin one, but it'd be good to compare them all. Or I should say, this one has been lent to me by my dad, who'll be watching. I'm sure you like to mention. He loves his old Western Region hydraulics. So yeah, this one's his, so I've got to be very careful with it. Right, I'm going to get them all lined up now. Here's the lineup then. We've got 8 models here from 7 different manufacturers. We've got 2 Bachmann models. We've got the very early one they did and the bang up to date one. So the oldest one, I believe, is the Trix model from the 60s sometime, I'm not quite sure. Then we've got Marklin, which was 67, and Fleischmann, which is 77. Then we've got the Mainline model, which is late 70s, early 80s. The Lima model was from the early 80s all the way up to the late 90s was the last one they did. Yeah. Then we've got the original Bachmann one from the late 90s again. Then Hornby one, funny enough, was in the middle of that, between the 2 Bachmann models. So there's the Hornby one. This one is from 2011, and then they did another one in 2014, the maroon one. And then lastly, bang up to date, is Sprightly from 2016-17. So yeah, as you can see, quite a big difference looks wise. Fortunately, the Marklin one is definitely the ugliest, and then the Trix one, and then this one's had paint on it and it's not the best example, but for this video I don't want to spend silly money on one. It is the only one that's got the original discs on without the head code box. The Fleischmann one is pretty good detail wise. It's just a shame it's very small. I mean, if we stand back here, compare it to the Mainline one, look, yeah, tiny. The Mainline, very similar to the early Bachmann, probably use the same mouldings. And then the Lima one, again, it's very basic, considering it came out in between the Mainline and the Bachmann ones. And then the Hornby one, it's not bad for a railroad version. I suppose at the time it was a lot cheaper than the Bachmann ones. It is a tiny bit shorter. Saying that, it's the same length as the old Bachmann one, so not sure what's going on there. And then yeah, finally the last one, which has got all the detailing bits you can add on to it. You've seen all the bits that they've added onto the one I had commissioned earlier. So yeah, that's the end of this part. If you want to come back in part 2 of comparing warships, we'll have them all running around, putting different various rakes, and also we'll have all the different liveries as well. So thanks for watching part 1, and I'll catch you all in part 2. Cheers.